So yesterday on my Twitch stream, I covered this IShowSpeed situation, and I wasn't really super happy with it. I woke up this morning, I decided to rewatch it, and like right off the get go, wasn't really super into the way that I was framing the scenario. I think I was being a little too charitable to IShowSpeed. You know, I stream every day, so like based on the way the mood strikes me, is the filter in which you're going to see some of my content. And usually if I'm in a grumpy mood, it doesn't really hurt the content, but I felt like it did this time. I felt like I was being a little too charitable to IShowSpeed. Not that he doesn't deserve charitability, but we'll get into that. The first thing I will say though, with this IShowSpeed situation is, and this might be this is incredibly, it's anecdotal, and you should take this with a grain of salt, because I don't want to ride the, oh my god, this is racist bandwagon that Keemstar's riding, which I think is kind of inappropriate. Because I don't think that Keemstar's defense of Denelli has anything to do with his race, other than it's something that he can kind of virtue signal over. I think Keemstar identifies, IShowSpeed, not Denelli. We'll get into that. I think his defense of IShowSpeed has nothing to do with race. I think it's because he's very edgy, and Keemstar identifies with that, and he sees a racial aspect to it, and he can just ham it up and just make it seem like it's a black issue. In my experience, though, I do see a bit of disproportionate energy directed at young black male content creators when they do something wrong. It's not that, and it's so hard to substantiate and show you, but it does seem like when a black content creator does something wrong, we as like a society are more prone to canceling them. Like what I would say is disproportionate amounts of energy. Not that there shouldn't be some punishment, but that the punishment seems to be massively, like I said, disproportionate. And I'll give you some examples. The first is this young content creator named Denelli on TikTok. It was a few years ago, and he used to do reaction videos where they'd do a bunch of videos. They were very simple. Somebody would send him something like, the old ones where he'd pound sand down. And he'd watch that and he would like, yes or no. He would like, or he would have a blank face if he didn't like the thing. And every once in a while, he would do one on like a content creator, somebody who may be doing cross-dressing, usually not like a trans person. Well, sometimes a trans person as well, where like they'll show one version of themselves and then they'll show the transitioned version of themselves or the detransitioned version, and he would like have like a blank stare, like, and it's inappropriate, and it is transphobic and homophobic, and it was called out, which I think is appropriate. And due to that calling out, he lost his main account and his alt account. So 3.5 million verified, and then like 2.5 million. And I think that was a little intense, but I think that was reasonable. But it didn't stop there. For the next, I think even till today, a year or two, he was on like a hyper. They've banned like 8 or 9 of his accounts. Like it's not like they were like, hey, you messed up, I'm gonna hit you, and then you can come back from it. He just kept getting blasted. And this is a part of this is because TikTok doesn't actually have any boundaries set. They just allow, if enough people are uncomfortable with a video based on the video's views, like versus reports, the video gets removed. TikTok is a horrible, worthless platform. And one of the problems is he even said before he got his main account banned, hey, I'm going to stop. I'm going to change my behavior. And then this content creator named like Heart Throbert, let me see if I can find him. He decided to instigate Denelli on his Instagram, and that caused Denelli to be like, yo, what the hell? Like he was just being like rude. He was saying like really shitty things. So Denelli, called it out. And then this guy played victim and went to Taylor Lorenz, which is a big person who loves to cancel young people. And then she wrote an entire like article that was very in favor of like his perspective, didn't take into account like really, I don't think the full context. And it was really bad. And he was like, oh my God, his followers are being homophobic, calling him like, slurs. And I understand that, but Denelli was being called the N-word too. Like so that was my first instance where it's like, okay. And then we have the instance of Killick and the Beef family. And in this instance, we have a young man who was 17 at the time, was engaging in trash talk with like their 16-year-old son. And he took it a little too far, right? He started talking about the mother and the daughter to the son, right? And the response was incredibly disproportionate. First of all, they intentionally misrepresented his age to 19 so that they can call him a grown man, despite the fact that on his Twitter he said he was 16. And on his Instagram, it said he was 17. Now, on his Instagram, for context, it didn't say it in the header or whatever you'd call it. It said it in one of like the 10 pictures he had. But still, the only thing linked to his videos at the time was his Twitter. So they would have thought he was 16 doing any research. But they intentionally matured him. And then they had an absolute disproportionate response. Rather than saying like, hey, that's inappropriate, you shouldn't be speaking about like, you know, women in that context. And if you're gonna trash talk somebody, make sure it's a mutual trash talk. They called him a predator, like a pedophile. They wanted to cancel him off all platforms. They made comments that were like disparaging about like him having a father. It was insane. Massively disproportionate response. And what I will say here, though, with Keemstar added, Keemstar didn't really defend this kid at all, which I find bizarre. He said like, oh, it seems like it was mutual trash talk, and then they said no, it wasn't, and he's like, oh, and then he stayed out of it. And so for me, it seems like Keemstar, possibly, maybe I'm reaching, I would consider this like somewhat of an analogous situation. I would say that Hillick in this situation was probably more innocent, though, you know, based on the response that he got. And Keemstar did less for him. And I don't know why. Maybe he was afraid of the B family, or maybe he desperately wants to stand up for IShowSpeed because he's a large content creator. I don't really know. But he kind of most people stayed out of the whole Killick thing. I guess, I don't know. And Keemstar was kind of one of them. He didn't really report too much, but he's having an incredible defense of IShowSpeed in a way that I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but we'll get into that. And so all those things together, though, to me, it just seems like a lot of this is like pearl clutching. It's like, if it was a white person, maybe we'd call it out, but it wouldn't be so intense. But since it's a young black kid, it's like, oh my God. And I'm not saying anybody's racist. I don't think that Jake Lucky is necessarily racist. I think Jake Lucky is probably somebody, my understanding from what I've seen, has like quite an edgy past. Maybe he's overcompensating by trying to call this guy out, and maybe he's trying to appear incredibly virtuous. But it just seems like, hey, like, yeah, you know, IShowSpeed he's a content creator who leans into the toxicity of his community, and for fun and for laughs. And I think that like harassing other people is obviously inappropriate. And my understanding is, I think Riot banned him from like all games, which I think isn't a fine response. I don't think he should get banned from like YouTube and have his whole career ruined. But I think that that's a reasonable thing. Like, hey, we know this happened a while ago, but like you're banned, and that's like a nice way to say like, hey, you have to stop because this behavior can lead you down a bad path. Because he is incredibly toxic, and his fans are always, honestly, I would say, borderline abusing him by sending him like a bunch of racist stuff. I saw the one thing where somebody pretended to donate. It's like, oh, Mr. Beast donates $1, and then he called him like, you know, a monkey and stuff, and it's like, holy. And unfortunately, it's a bunch of like young, edgy, racist white kids probably watching his content. And they love him, but part of the reason they love him is because they can look at him and point at him and make him a performance. And I think that he's kind of sucked into a little toxic field. And part of that's his content. I think that like part of that is his content is being a bit toxic. But there's a line of like, where does the toxicity start and end? And I think that it kind of needs to end at not harassing other people in an unwarranted fashion. You know, like I understand if the whole like who's going to stop me thing was a little intense. It was very intense. But outside of that, doing it in a group of friends or something like that, like whatever, or, you know, in somewhat of a stage or a place is fine. But going on to a video game and just cursing somebody out is obviously just inappropriate. It's not a good thing to do. I will say that like this is kind of gamer culture, which does need to change because just the fundamentals of this type of behavior, it pushes people out of wanting to compete or play. And I used to be super toxic too. Not even gonna lie. And this is probably why I was so empathetic the first time I watched it. I've been super toxic. I've been banned on multiple accounts on different games, you know? And I was always like, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Just a game. You know, because you could just mute me if you wanted to, you know? But I don't think that like, and you can, and you should, honestly, you should mute somebody if they're being toxic. Like you can walk away from the bullying, but then at the same time, we have to understand that it's not even just a one-off scenario. We have somebody who's saying this to like millions of people watching it, and then they're probably like, this is funny. I want to act like my favorite streamer, IShowSpeed. So it's behavior that needs to be called out. I just feels like the call here says, I understand why Valorant queues are so unbelievably toxic. You got one of the most popular streamers on YouTube, IShowSpeed, saying crap like this and getting nothing but praise and laughs. Crap is whack. Now, I will say that like Valorant is toxic without IShowSpeed. It is, but let's watch this.
And where she is? She's on top of the thing.
10 seconds
Oh,
left.
rush her. 10 seconds. On your left.
Fuck, man! Yo, man, dog, man. Come on, bruh.
Man, you gotta hit those shots, man.
Man, shut your stupid ass up.
I will say one thing, though. I will say one thing, okay? Okay. Listen. In gamer speak, telling somebody that they have to hit their shots is basically a slur, okay? You have to understand. And I'm just letting you know. You have to hit those shots. Like, yeah, bro. Don't, like, coaching is basically, you might as well call him in the N-word at that point. Because I know that it's like I'm joking a little bit, but I'm kind of serious. Like, that's like, people get really frustrated when you try to coach. And I will say that I don't know what the context is behind this, because it's possible that, like, they were ragging on him, like, the whole game for being bad or something. Or, you know, it was going back and forth in some capacity, probably. It just seems like IShowSpeed took it to the next level.
Oh, nigga, who's you talking to, bro? Shut your nerd ass up, bro. I know how to play this game. Shut up, monkey. Shut up. Shut your bitch ass up. All right. All right.
You're at the
All right.
Calm down.
Damn, bro. Shut up, bro. I know how to play this game. I'm not a noob, all right? God
Obviously,
damn.
you don't know how to play the fucking game. 'Cause
What?
you suck ass.
What, bitch? Bitch?
Jesus Christ.
Is a bitch talking to me? Is a female talking to me?
So I will say one thing, and I do have a genuine question. Is the trash talk to some extent seems mutual until what I would say he brings like identities into it. So I guess that's the biggest problem. Is like, well, where do we draw the line on like on shit talking? Is it at criticizing somebody based on like an identity? Is it not doing it at all in general? You know, if you're getting hit a little bit with some, because it sounds like they were getting on his case a little bit, and then he just had a very disproportionate response. But like, where do we draw the line? It's like a real question. I don't really know yet. You know, I don't really know. I mean, from where I come from, like if you talk shit, you get hit. So who cares? Like, I just would never care. I would never be sensitive. I just don't care. But that's also me from like a personal level. You know, obviously, you probably shouldn't bring up anybody's identity, though. You shouldn't be like, oh, you're black, or oh, you're a girl, or oh, you're anything when you're trash talking. But it is a question of like, where do we draw the line at the toxicity that we exude? You know, are we allowed to maintain the same energy if somebody says you suck, bro? I know what that is. That's a nice way to say fuck yourself. You know, or if somebody says like, or if somebody coaches you, it's a nice way of saying go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? And I would be like, fuck off, bro. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? But obviously, this is incredibly intense.
No, am I tripping? Am I tripping? Or wait, time out. It's a female talking to me right now. It's a fucking female talking to me. Get off the fucking game and do your husband dishes, bitch. Shut up. Fuck you.
I'm sorry for laughing. It is listen, bro. We're all people. It's kind of funny, but it's really fucked up. And it needs to stop. But I mean, it's really. That's why I'm laughing, is because it's so fucked up. But it needs to stop. This is the thing, man. It's like the edgy gamer in me wants to be like, who cares? But like, I know that this is wrong. You know what I mean? Like, we have to acknowledge that this is wrong. We do genuinely have to acknowledge it. Like, this is bad. And like a trend of criticizing somebody for their identity, is not a good thing. Just say that, like, oh, fuck you, you suck. Just say that you suck back. You know what I mean? Don't take it to them being like a girl or being like a particular race or anything.
Fuck is wrong with y'all? Stop talking to me like that, nigga. Fuck is wrong with y'all, dog? I'm not one of these little lame ass Valorant nerds, nigga. Fuck wrong with y'all?
This chat really does love it if you look at the top right.
Now fucking suck.
Spike down mid.
Oh wait, I got the spike.
Fucking nerds on my fucking team.
And like, I remember watching this and I was like, oh, to my house. He's actually like legitimately talking to them the whole time. Like, I've you know, at the very least, if you're gonna play this performance and like call somebody all these things, like just turn off the mic so you're not saying it to them. It's still inappropriate because it shows your audience that like, oh, it's funny to say these things to people. But at the very least, you didn't have to let, you know, you could have turned for the because I know a lot of this is performative. This is the thing, is that like IShowSpeed, he might be like a little bit of it. He's probably an edgy gamer, but a lot of this is like a performance. People do this shit online. Like, this is a whole brand where a lot of people have gotten very popular in the past. Like, I'm Dr. Disrespect, and that's no disrespect to him, but a lot of people have gotten like big from doing this in the past. XQC has gotten really big from doing this in the past. And I think they respond. I want to see how they respond, or not Dr. Disrespect, but XQC, because it's a little hypocritical. Even if you've changed to be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, but in like an incredibly like aggressive way. Because if it wasn't for being toxic for some content creators, I'm not even saying like XQC necessarily, but like, you wouldn't have gotten popular in the first place. you know? And so, like, I know it's a different time, a different place, but to be so aggressive against it, you know, because a lot of people do that. They'll be like kind of shitty content creators for like the beginning of their stuff, and then they'll tone it down once they've generated an audience.
I'm like, bitch, like, who the fuck is you talking to, bitch? Fuck is wrong with you? Go do your like.
Last player standing.
Fuck out of here. Ass. Y'all are pure ass. Y'all are ass. Y'all are ass. Y'all are ass. Y'all are ass.
Yeah, so that's the moment you should probably mute him, but it's definitely inappropriate behavior. So it continues where he just paraphrases and what bitch, you talking to me, bitch, female talking to me, get off the game. Absolutely unbelievable. Kids be looking up to this and finding it all right. Yeah, you know, I don't know how to express it. It's just feel, you know, maybe I'm just leaning into my biases too much. Speed obviously did respond. He did apologize. So here we got.
What's good, everybody? It's a clip, you know, that I seen, you know, that's going crazy right now. Me between the altercation with a girl, and I was playing Valorant. You know what I'm saying? And I want to say some, you know, like a few things from that situation. You know what I'm saying? But that day, you know, I wasn't having a good day. You know, I was getting a lot of racist text-to-speech donations. A lot of people, you know, talking about my dead aunt that's in the grave right now. But look.
Listen, and I will say one thing, like, that's obviously terrible. And I don't want to say it like this, but IShowSpeed seems to lean into that. I think I said it earlier, though. He seems to lean into, like, that self-deprecating, like, racist humor. And, you know, that's the dangers of doing that because, like, bro, they still hit you. Like, when you got your whole chat just calling you, like, you know, a fucking monkey and shit. Like, it's horrible. And you might think it's funny sometimes, but then sometimes probably just weighs on him. And I think one of the issues with Speed for himself more than anybody else is that, like, I feel like he might have put himself in a scenario where he feels like if he tries to change and become less toxic, that he won't be as valued as a content creator because he's like the overreaction guy. He's the guy that makes like the racist jokes or the edgy jokes. And it's possible that, like, you know, he might be in this scenario where like he's encouraged toxicity from his community, and then sometimes the toxicity has a negative impact on him, and then he acts less than stellar based on that. But also, you know, it's possible that this is just like really an excuse. I mean, come on, but you know,
I don't want to make that no excuse. I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to justify. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, that day, I just don't bash on people for no reason. That's where I'm coming from that, you know, statement I just said. But, you know, I'm completely wrong. You know what I'm saying? I was completely wrong in that situation right there. I can't say anything to justify that situation right there. But that clip is from months ago, and I changed from that, and I grew. You know what I'm saying? I'm young. You know what I'm saying? I'm very young. For every situation I grow, you know, and I change, you know, and I got to become a better person. That is not me no more. That is not me. And I grow from that situation. That's come from the bottom of my heart.
Okay.
That is not.
I don't know how genuine this is, you know, like, I'm not trying to be rude. Has he grown? I feel like, I don't know. Maybe he's kept the toxicity, but he stopped redirecting it at individuals on video games. That part is probably the biggest issue, is being toxic to, like, outside parties who don't necessarily, for lack of a better term, consent to the scenario. I'm not turning this into like a sexual assault thing. I'm just saying, you know, somebody, like a mutual party that would be into it. You know,
not me, you know, and hopefully I can, you know, really, you know, see like the genuine in me. You know what I'm saying? I apologize from that girl. I apologize if that girl was to hit me up and say anything. You know, I would love to hear her out. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I apologize. That's not.
I was that girl, Speed. I want to hit you up and tell you I'm upset.
Not me. That clip is from months ago. I'm sorry, man. Peace out.
Yeah, so I think the apology was fine. I don't know how necessarily how genuine it is. I think it's a response to getting criticized, but also maybe I'm just being skeptical because I hear a lot of YouTube apologies, and, you know, yeah, I think that's fine. I do think that there was a message, like, this person on here who is the global head of gaming creators on YouTube. Is that really what he is? Incredible. Where he commented on that thing and said, like, I'm on it in some capacity, where, like, he's gonna try to do something and pressure YouTube. I don't know if he removed it. I can't really find where he said it. That's not what I want to do. I'm also really old. Is it under tweets and replies? And I don't, yeah, he said on it right here. And I think this is the most uncomfortable part, is that the way that Jake called out IShowSpeed, again, I think it was a little bit disproportionate. And then this guy, Lester, and I don't know, maybe he seems to be the head of gaming on YouTube, is like, I'm on it. And it's like, what does that mean? Because if we deplatform Speed for this mistake, this is exhausting. I don't like this concept on social media where people in all communities will fuck up, they'll make a mistake, and then the next time that somebody does something, they'll lean into the other person making the mistake without like the option for some kind of like re-education. It seems like cancel culture is like it's so powerful, and we have this concept of morality on the internet that is just so unrealistic. Like, if you frame this in a real world's perspective, like, it's so crazy. Somebody will do something wrong, and it's like it's people who are willing to change who get slammed so hard. And it's like, holy moly, it's really intense, because what ends up happening is, like, let's say IShowSpeed does this. I don't think it's unreasonable to say he doesn't understand like the negative impact this could be having on gaming culture in general, or dissuading young girls or girls from playing games potentially. He doesn't understand that because he grew up in this field. This is a sphere, This is a dude. There's literally a ghost in my house. I don't know. So let me get through the segment, okay? This is a sphere. On YouTube, or gaming culture is a sphere, and a lot of us grew up in that gaming culture sphere, and then we're just acting in the way that the sphere tells us is okay to interact. That doesn't make it okay, no, but it also has to like understand like that's like an upbringing thing, and it's a behavior that should be socialized out of people for sure. But to cancel people, it just feels way too much. It feels incredible. It just feels like, if we cancel people for doing things unintentionally, they're going to lean into doing it more. The problem is that like right now we have, this is like the conflict. I know you guys love when I pull paint out. This is your toxic YouTube gaming sphere, right? Or this is just gaming. Okay. Right now, this sphere is meshing with, let's just say, like girls or something, like women. I don't know, just for the sake of it. Right, and we have this area here. It kind of looks like a hairy vagina now. Sorry, that was not intentional. When we call this behavior out, this chart's terrible. I'm just too distracted. Okay, listen, we're gonna do it. Get that off this. I just have to get that off the screen. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna say this is like a spectrum here, and we're gonna say like this is like this is a gaming spectrum, and this is like being very toxic, and this is being very like wholesome, we'll say. Okay, and let's say IShowSpeed falls in here. Now, I don't think he does that because he's a bad person. I think he grew up in this sphere. So he's being toxic. And so we have two options. We can say, like, we can call it out, call this out, and be like, hey, this is wrong. And it's like, you shouldn't, and give an actual message, and I think people are doing that. Like, hey, don't talk like that to women. But I think that in general, the message is like, hey, like, don't do it with a party when it's not mutual. If you guys are dogging on each other back and forth with the same amount of energy, like, I don't really care personally, because like you're just engaging it back and forth at this point. So I just don't give a shit. I'm being honest with you. But there was none of that here. It was just him. Oh, you're a girl. Oh, you're less than. That was basically the perspective that IShowSpeed had. He's, oh, you're a girl, so you're less than. Okay, so that's it. That was all. That was it. If you suck at a game and you're less than, that's different. That's not an identity thing. Okay. Maybe you could argue it's ableist, because maybe IShowSpeed is just bad because of his brain chemistry. I doubt it. It's just like a stupid thing. It was a stupid joke. So if we engage in like a re-education culture, you'll see IShowSpeed shift to the left. And I personally think that IShowSpeed should try to figure out the line to play, like the social line to play, to maintain some of the toxicity, because it's engaging, while also making sure that he's like respectful to other people. Maybe don't personalize it so much, don't say it at people so much, and don't lean so much into like bigoted stereotypes. Problem is that if we cancel him, if he removes his YouTube platform, why would he bother changing? He'll just go to the right more. He'll go more to lean to toxicity. And we've seen this phenomenon happen a lot, where people just like when they get ostracized from a particular community, they go farther right. And I think that this is something that I've noticed a lot because I do dabble in like a little bit of politics stuff, and I've noticed that this happens a lot. It tends to happen especially by like people that are more left leaning. They tend to be very into themselves, very into cancel culture, and it ends up having like a negative impact and just causes the person that gets canceled to lean into like the other side that's generally more accepting. And like, I don't want to see that. I think that would be ridiculous. And this is a young, successful man, and I think that like deplatforming him would be terrible. And this on it comment like really bothers me because like, what does that mean? You're gonna try to cancel him? I mean, like it's like Jesus Christ. It's like holy moly. It's just too much to me.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, there's more here. I think that there's this comment here about like him getting harassed.
The clean water. I'm trying to figure out how to heal the game. Can you just tell me how to heal in the game?
I'm just gonna say this is probably him trolling. How do you heal in the game? Like he probably knows. Like I've done this before, where you just act like an idiot in the game. You're like, hey, I'm stupid. Like how do you heal?
Just heal like a woman.
Only the white characters can heal.
Yeah, only
So
the white characters can heal. I'm sorry.
I will say one thing to the person saying this is that like this healer is actually Asian. And so that gets into a conversation about, invalidating the struggles of Asian people if you want to get hyper woke here, okay? All right? Calling Asian people white, you're going to get beat up. You're going to get beat up, bro. Okay?
Hey, yo, what the fuck? A based woman?
A based woman. Okay, okay.
On God.
I watched this already, and it's just 2 minutes of him, I think, fake chanting and like speaking in tongues. I can't watch it again because it's gonna make me cringe too much. But as we go through here, they basically say more racist stuff to him, and that's pretty much what happened. I can't watch it because it's so cringe. The first time I watched it, I cringed. I can't watch it twice. It's because I know what I'm expecting, and that's really just showing that like Valorant in and of itself is toxic without the existence of speed. But we should still establish, like large content creators especially, have like a little bit of a higher responsibility to not perpetuate, that ideology, I guess we'll say. What is this? Oh, it's not even part of the thread. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Now there's, and now people are going in the past.
Say we're the last two people on Earth, and we had to reproduce to make the world continue. No! Reproduce with me?
No, because that means our kids will have to intertwine, and then their kids. No.
Sounds kind of hot. I'm just kidding.
Who gonna stop me?
I will.
Who's gonna stop me?
I will say Aiden's laughing. So
I will.
If we the last two people on Earth, who gonna stop me?
Gee,
You're not stopping me. If we the last.
My wife is the ghost. Filming a segment, baby. Anyway, obviously this is incredibly incorrect. I mean, he's making a sexual assault joke, and it's inappropriate. And this is the problem. Again, it's like part of that edgy gaming community. You can see this guy's like laughing a bit. Aiden got a bit of a smile on his face, but he knows it's wrong. It's a bad and it's an inappropriate joke, and it does need to be called out. It does need to stop, of course. I agree with you. It's just that people. I mean, I don't think that IShowSpeed will actually sexually assault somebody, but it is inappropriate. And you know what? I don't know if Jake Lucky even knew about this, because I'd say this is a bigger issue than anything else. And a lot of people write it off because he's young, and I understand that like you're being young absolutely gives you like bro, you don't really know better. When you're 17, bro. When I was like 23, I didn't know any better. Like 20, you know what I mean? Like I was a dumb kid. It took me a while to grow up. I was just lucky that it wasn't on the internet. It does need to be called out though, and there probably really genuinely does. I mean, there needs to be a personal conversation with the guy about like what he's doing is like wrong. I think that's what it is, and obviously, I don't know if there's any large content creators that would be able to do that. I mean, I would do it. That'd be pretty poggers for me. But again, like, what are the odds of doing that? But in a way that can make him understand, like, oh. Like, yeah, you know what? This is a good point. And figure out a way to clash, like maintaining some of the edge and fun in his content without making it, let's say, derogatory. But anyway, Keemstar's been on a tirade. Let's watch what Keemstar has to say about it. Isn't he retiring at some point? Can't wait.
What is up, Drum Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's
We have it in a little bit of increased speed, so.
get right into the news.
I watched the whole
Last
intro.
night, an
Jesus.
eSport reporter named Jake Lucky.
By the way, this is one of the problems with doing breaking news type content. Is I feel like it doesn't give you the opportunity to like sit back and like really figure out what you want to say and how you want to say it. This is the problem, because this is the problem, is that every time something happens, everybody is going to have an immediate response, which makes sense. And not everybody's immediate response, myself as well, is good. They tend to be more emotional and more biased because it's your immediate response, you know? And so that's like when I was on my stream yesterday, I felt like my immediate response, like I still generally agree with what I said, but it was a little bit too in favor of like IShowSpeed and like not really caring about what was going on. And then also I was having like a day where I just didn't care about it because we watched like another segment where somebody was like trying to deplatform somebody else. It was ridiculous. And that's the problem with like breaking news type content though, and not sitting on it for a little bit. And which I will say, like, good for me, because on Twitch you have to wait 24 hours before you can post something. And so like that 24 hours gave me the opportunity to think like, okay, what, you know, and like actually, you know, mull it over in my head.
He went after IShowSpeed, one of the most popular streamers. I think he is the most popular streamer right now. And many people, actually thousands of people, are saying Jake Lucky, him going after Speed, was racially motivated.
I just don't think that you think that in any genuine sense, Keemstar. I don't. Like I saw, like, I see potentially that there because of like an experience of looking online. And maybe he just doesn't know how to articulate himself, and maybe he agrees specifically with the way that I you know, where it seems like there are disproportionate responses to the young black creators. But I also feel like Keemstar is just using race as an excuse. He's in-polling. You know, he's not sitting down and saying, "Hey," because like I said, like I mean, there's no foundation. I can't explain to you why I feel this way, so it might just be a feeling, and that's why I want you guys to take that with a grain of salt, so that you don't go like, "Yeah, it's racist." But Keemstar is like laying into it, and I really just think it's a race defense. It's like, well, I'm black, so it's okay, and that's just as bad. I mean, that is just as bad, because we can't. There's nothing that's been said that makes this explicitly racist. There are feelings we might have. There is a conversation about the way that we interpret things from people that we don't identify as our in-group. In this case, the most shallow in-group is skin color, where we tend to be less charitable to people who aren't in our in-group. Or maybe Jake Lucky's just jealous of IShowSpeed because he's popular and he's young, and you know what I mean? I don't know. But I feel like Keemstar saying a lot of people think this is racist. Keemstar thinks this is racist. He did a poll, right? He did a whole poll that was like, I think Jake Lucky screenshotted it. He's like, many are saying this is racially motivated. Do you think so? Keemstar thinks it's racially motivated, and he's like trying to play this weird game where he's like, I didn't say it though, but I think he actually did say it was racist. And then he retweeted a girl somebody, that said that he was he's done a lot for the black community. I don't know if that's true at all. I doubt it, but you know, maybe I think Keemstar is in his black validation arc, so he feels like everything is racist now.
We're gonna get into it. First, who is IShowSpeed? Well, he's just massive. He's blowing up. He's the #1.
He's not that fat, bro. He's pretty thin. He's pretty fit.
Streamer right now, and he streams on YouTube. In a very short period of time, he grew his channel to 7 million subscribers. Each one of his streams is getting like 1 million views. Last night, eSport reporter Jake Lucky took an old clip that he found of Speed talking trash in a video game and tweeted this. I now understand why Valorant queues are so unbelievably toxic. You got one of the most popular streamers on...
I just doubt that somebody that's been in the video game sphere, because Jake Lucky is like somebody that is involved in gaming, right? Sorry, I don't know if I said this, but co-owner of some gaming squad. Like, shut up. I think that maybe this is one of the frustrations that I have, is that somebody from the gaming community that I guarantee you, it used to be incredibly toxic, is being so like non-charitable to a toxic gamer. You know what I mean? Like, you should be the first one that's like, yeah, I know what it's like to be bad. I know what it's like to be a bad content creator and be like too, or just a person be too toxic. And I think that we should extend IShowSpeed like that. Like, hey, you know, stop it. You know, that kind of a thing. This doesn't come off like that. This comes off as like a really heavy-handed, like, hey, look at this bad guy. I'm a good guy by association. I'm a virtuous person for calling this out. But I don't think it's virtuous to call out to try to cancel people for bad behavior. And what's is the subtext? That's the energy I'm getting. And maybe I'm just maybe it's not the energy, but I feel like that's the energy, you know? I think it's more virtuous to allow people a pathway to be a better person. Because, like, think about it. If you could change IShowSpeed to be a better content creator, by his own logic of being a popular streamer, that would make his fan base less toxic, you know? And so that's why you should do a positive appeal to IShowSpeed. If you don't, and you just like deplatform and cancel him, he's a martyr now. He's a martyr for edgy gaming. And now you're just basically perpetuating more edgy gaming because you deplatform a kid that was just like being a little too sussy, you know?
YouTube, IShowSpeed saying crap like this and getting nothing but praise and laugh. Crap is whack. Now, guys, I can't actually play the clip of Speed talking trash in the video game just because there's so much swearing and we mute swearing on here. And there's just so much swearing in this clip that you wouldn't even understand how.
It doesn't really speak positively to your position when you're like, I can't even play the clip of the person that you're trying to defend.
Jake Lucky did do a good job quoting some of what was said. Speed said, "What, B? Is this a B talking to me? Is a female talking to me? Get off the effing game and do your husband's dishes." Then followed up by saying, actually unbelievable that kids be looking up to this and finding it all right. So what is Speed guilty of? Talking trash in a video game. Something that all of these people that called him out have done. Regardless, Speed reacted almost immediately.
It doesn't make it okay.
Issuing out an apology. Roll it.
What's good, everybody? It's a clip, you know, that I seen, you know, that's going crazy right now. Me between the
What I will say though is that like this energy really wasn't maintained for Killick. When Keemstar got involved a little bit, he backed off the second the B families disagreed with him. So, you know, to me, like, what was your motivation for defending IShowSpeed so much, but not Killick when it's like a comparable scenario? And in fact, Killick was more innocent. You know, he trash talked too. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like IShowSpeed trash talk a girl publicly. Killick did it really like in a more private setting. Like nobody had seen the stream. Like it was like 20 views or something. You know what I mean? It didn't see it until after the B family blew it up. So like, I wonder why he's so in defense of IShowSpeed. Maybe it's because he's a larger content creator, and maybe it's because the B family was a bigger content creator and he was afraid of the backlash. But that's some pussy shit, Keemstar. You're supposed to be the internet YouTube father, you and Ethan, you know? You're supposed to be the more traditional father. Why? It's weird that you're having this energy just for IShowSpeed. It's weird that you picked this battle. It makes it seem to me more like you're just defending him because he's a large content creator.
Casing with a girl, and I was playing Valorant. You know what I'm saying? And I want to say some, you know, like a few things from that situation. You know what I'm saying? But that day, you know, I wasn't having a good day. You know, I was getting a lot of racist text and speech donations. A lot of people, you know, talking about my dead aunt that's in the grave right now. But look, I don't want to make that no excuse. I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to justify. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying like that day, I just don't bash on people for no reason. That's where I'm coming from that, you know, statement I just said. But you know, I'm completely wrong. You know what I'm saying? I was completely wrong in that situation right there. I can't say anything to justify that situation right there. But that clip is from months ago, and I changed from that, and I grew. You know what I'm saying? I'm young. You know what I'm saying? I'm very young.
Now, after that apology came out, Jake Lucky actually responded by saying, "You're young, but with such a large audience, you carry a lot of influence, man, to a lot of impressionable people. Thanks for your further explanation on the situation."
I mean, I guess that's a fine response. You know, I don't know. Part of it just feels like moral grandstanding to me. I might just be like I don't know, man. Again, it just feels, it's a weird thing to like start off by like, look at this terrible content creator. Ew, you know, with a complete lack of empathy, which is what his first thing said. And then once they respond, being like, oh, I'm reasonable and level-headed now, you know? Maybe that's just the part of the problem with Twitter, where it's like you're only allowed to put so many words in there, but it just comes off as like very preachy to me. Especially again from somebody in like the gaming community is probably also guilty of his own toxicity. He's just probably older, and it wasn't as represented online. Because that's the thing. A lot of people are being thrust into an online world earlier, and like your footprint's there. Let me tell you, brother, my footprint, Thank God it's not around. It's terrible. I talk about it all the time. That's horrible. I was such a horrible person. And I changed drastically. Went from like an edgy Dota 2 gamer to somebody. I like to think that I'm fairly educated on like a lot of the topics I talk about. Like I take the time to sit down and like listen. And like, you know what I mean? Like people can change. It's just like Jesus Christ. But if like I imagine when I was younger, people saw what I had said, I probably wouldn't have changed. I mean, you know, it's one of those things where like you just put your head down in shame. You're like, oh, I am fucking pathetic, or I was pathetic. You know what I mean? You look at it like, damn, that was sad. But you're happy no one caught you, because then you probably would have like felt maybe you would have doubled down and be like, fuck it, I don't care. You know, all of a sudden now you're an incel. And you're going on Jubilee videos telling everybody that women are inferior. You know what I mean? I feel like
Somebody responded right away saying, what? You just tried to cancel him. That's right. Jake Lucky was trying to cancel him, and he did. An employee at Valorant said, this is a huge yikes, and we don't want players like this in our community at all. I went ahead and permabanned this player from Valorant, as well as all other Riot games. Thanks for raising this. Please keep raising stuff like this and reporting so we can make Val safer.
I know I said before, I think, did I say before? He got banned, and like, I think it was a good thing to hit him, like with a stern hit. I don't know if I would have done it permanently, though. I feel like maybe that's a little disproportionate. Because, bro, I've played Valorant before. So I know that there are toxic people, because I was the one. No. But there are people who are pieces of shit. And for a first offense, I don't think an instant permanent ban from every single Riot game is appropriate. It's just leaning into cancel culture. Like, this isn't reasonable or level-headed. What she should have said is like, hey, we saw the clip. We've decided to put him on like a 3-month ban from all Riot games as like a show of like, hey, this behavior is inappropriate. But, you know, allow, because that's a reasonable response. I feel like if I was somebody that was on IShowSpeed, I'd be like, fuck this Valorant, fuck Riot. That's how I feel, actually. I feel like I don't want to play Riot games anymore. And I do play Riot games regularly. I'm not good at them. And this makes me feel like maybe I don't want to play. Not because they're punishing him. I think punishing him is great. But this disproportionate response from this person. And even if they walk it back and say, hey, we've dialed it down to like a month. They still were just trying to socially capitalize and say, like, we're really virtuous. We permabanned him. And then a month later, hey, we unbanned you. You know what I mean? It's just, that's the whole performative piece of it. And because I wouldn't doubt that they're going to be like, hey, we're going to reduce it to like a month ban and you need to chill out, which I think is fair. But not presenting it like that in the first place, to me, it's like, oh, we're virtuous. And the only reason that we're letting you back on our platform is because we're good people. Rather than being like, hey, first offense, but you're also a big streamer. You need to get hit a little bit harder. We're going to put you on a 1-month ban. It's like a lot of performance pieces here. It's a lot of performance pieces. And and it's so crazy that like we're all so morally virtuous in real life, you know? Or on the internet. But we're not that person. And all you're doing is upholding this incredibly charged moral righteousness, which none of you motherfuckers can adhere to. You motherfuckers can't adhere to this shit. You know what I mean? You know, you guys are going, have you never done a bad thing before? Could you imagine somebody shit on you and had the most intense response for every bad thing that you've ever done in your life? That would be fucking hard. We would all, none of us would be able to exist. I'm tired of walking on eggshells. Like, I let people make mistakes. Chill the fuck out. You know what I mean?
So yeah, Jake Lucky, this esport reporter, taking a clip from months ago, got Speed banned from Valorant and all Riot games. But that's just not it. Also, Chen, who is the head of YouTube Gaming right now, responded by saying on it, meaning that Speed might have consequences on YouTube itself. But get this, trash talk in a video game. That's what's going on here. The kid...
You're really just boiling it down too much, Keemstar. Like, if any person that watched the clip would see that they're like almost outside of the one thing where he said where the person was coaching him, which we know that's a slur, bro. You don't coach in a competitive game unprompted. Outside of that, though, like, it was completely disproportionate. Like, there's no defensive IShowSpeed in there. You know what I mean? It's just, like, this is like the whole thing is just like defending trash talk in video games to death. But but communities of like pure trash talk, they dissuade people from wanting to play games, and especially like girls. Like, bro, listen, we all know women are terrible at video games because they're fucking worthless. I'm just kidding. You know, listen, women tend to stay away from playing games, and part of it's probably socialized. Part of it might even be like some biological aspect. Maybe women just don't particularly care for games, but there are a lot of women who do. So obviously, what I'm saying is stupid. And when they join a game and they're like, "You're a girl, fucking kill yourself," like that's the energy that women get. It makes women not want to play games, and it's kind of shitty. You know, it's nicer to have a more diverse community of different people. So, like, we should still be calling out the behavior. Just saying trash talk, ha ha ha, it's all cool. Like, why? Especially as a game creator. Like, if I had a game, I wouldn't want people to be trash talking each other in the game. That's not ideal. It's stupid. It's just dumb.
Was trash talking in a video game, and now they're trying to take everything from him. Now at this point,
I will say I did mute the fart, but I felt like my body language streamed it, so I figured I'd own it up. Anyway. I'm not going to edit that out. I don't care. I'm lazy. Anyway, yeah, it's unfortunate, especially in a competitive game, because now in a competitive game setting, one of the requirements to being good at a game is having to be level-headed and not rage out and start playing in an emotional context. You know what I mean? Like, that's actually part of like gaming, because if you get heated, you start to make bad choices, and it's like it makes the competitive scene more difficult because of like, just ridiculous toxicity.
a lot of people were saying what Jake Lucky did was racially motivated because there's so many clips out there of people being actually racist towards Speed, and Jake Lucky didn't cover any of this.
The clean water. I'm trying to figure out how to heal the game. Can you just
It's like one clip.
tell me how to heal
And like, I mean,
the game?
Just heal like a woman.
Only the white characters can heal.
Yeah,
Keemstar's right. He's kind of right, because because specifically because the way that Jake made it look was like IShowSpeed is like the reason that Riot or Valorant is so toxic, when he's just like a byproduct of the toxicity.
only the white characters can heal. I'm sorry.
So stupid.
Hey, yo, what the?
Wow, why didn't Jake Lucky cover that? So after
I mean, he probably didn't see that, but yeah, it's still it's good to bring up for context based on the way that Jake decided to promote this video, to promote his clip.
a lot of people were saying this was racially motivated, I put out a poll to ask you guys what you thought. I tweeted, many are
Bro, just Keemstar, just say that you think it's racially motivated too. Don't hide behind this. I asked other people and they said, like, it's a fucking coward move, bro. Come on.
saying this was racially motivated.
Just say that you think it's racially motivated. Like, that's, I mean, I mean, you might be right, but like, just say it. Like, own your perspective.
Do you think so? No.
This is the same Carson defense where when I called him out and said like, oh, you said that like basically you promoted this like a 19-17-year-old interacting was like a fucking terrible grooming, and he's like, well, I didn't really say that, his friends did. It's like you platformed them and then you didn't ask them what the age of the girl was or what age Carson was at the time. Like, you intentionally misrepresented the situation, then you hide behind plausible deniability. Like, it's some pussy shit.
No, or yes, Jake Lucky's racist. With over 90,000 votes, 43.4% said yes.
I'm surprised that 43.4% of your audience thinks something is racist, because they're probably all racist. I'm surprised. Wow. So your audience does know what racism is. Okay. All right.
This was racially motivated. So look, I've done the math for you. It's 40,000 people. 40,000 people said this was racially motivated.
Thank you for
Jake
doing the
Lucky
math for me.
responded by saying,
Incredible stuff. Awesome.
Keemstar is insinuating that I'm racist for simply calling out bad behavior. I'm insinuating? Or maybe I'm just reporting what the community has been saying. Like, I see.
It's so interesting because if we break down Keemstar's fundamental argument here, it's that because a lot of people feel a way about a thing, that means that feeling is valid. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not, because this also means that 50% or 56% or whatever percent of people think it's not racist. So they're also valid as well. And then everybody who feels like IShowSpeed should be canceled, that feeling is valid because a lot of people feel it. And back in the 1940s, black people and gay people and women and everybody who wasn't me was looked down upon because that's how we felt. You know what I mean? Like, it's what's kind of a slippery slope here. It's like, because people feel a way, that means that thing is valid. And again, like I mentioned a racial element, but I mentioned it from like a place of like, you know, of understanding that it may not be true, but also grounded in like reality of like subconscious biases, rather than like he saw a black guy and said bleh. Like I doubt that that's what Jake Lucky said. I think that he saw a content creator. He might have been less charitable based on like some kind of a preconceived notion that he doesn't understand about IShowSpeed, which could be because he's black. It also could be because he's jealous that this young man is very successful. It could be a lot of things. But it's not like he's black bed. I doubt that's what went through Jake's head. You know, I doubt that's what. I think that the lack of charitability might be rooted in the fact that he's black, but I'm not going to say that for sure. It's not playing.
Seen all these tweets of people saying this was racially motivated, so I put out a poll and 40,000 people said it's racially motivated. How am I insinuating? Well, obviously.
Because you're promoting the message. You asked the question. I think you even said that you think it's racially motivated. You retweeted somebody saying that you're doing wonders for the black community. Like, you're saying it. Just say it.
Jake Lucky's just twisting that right there. But here's another thing. If Jake Lucky has such a problem with trash talk in a video game, which is negative towards females, then how do we explain this? In 2019, Jake Lucky put out a
3 years
tweet saying, esport player told a girl to make a sandwich and there's a debate to get him kicked from an org. I'm currently peaking. Followed up by saying that the player was fined for an undisclosed amount of money and it will be donated to charity, but he will remain in LG.
What's so wrong with, I'm assuming that he thinks that's silly. I mean, that's not for nothing, but like that scenario isn't even comparable to what IShowSpeed did, except for the fact that it was in a professional setting. I don't even know the context of what's happening. He might have said it to like another competitor or a person that was like announcing, and in that case, it's like defending your people. But this is, I mean, I just feel like the context is missing.
Who's the player he's talking about? LG Destroyed.
Okay.
But here's another thing. A woman responds to Jake's tweet saying, laughing my butt off, some girls really can't be on the internet. Literally cry like little B. Jake Lucky liked this tweet. And look, Jake Lucky isn't against trash talk.
Bro, it's so weird, dude. Why do you keep going back? Like, I understand trying to root out and show hypocrisy, but I mean, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? I wonder what his, I mean, I guess, Jake, what do you think about that? Do you agree? Is there, this is just
talking video
stupid.
Games. In fact, in 2021, he's saying COD trash talk is epic. There ain't much better than Call of Duty trash talk.
This is actually pretty reasonable. I mean, like he's actively, yeah, okay. I mean, I doubt that. I mean, it's possible that it's within the context of just the trash talking, removing like trash talking for identities. But I mean, yeah, this doesn't really look particularly good. But this to me shows that, like, yeah, like, why are you being so uncharitable to somebody like IShowSpeed when you've seemed to exhibit the same behavior, even if it's not live on stream?
And here's the thing that makes Jake Lucky the most hypocritical. Listen to this tweet. There's already more trash talk and banter in Valorant than CSGO, and I kinda dig it.
All right, some of these are hitting. He's not wrong. Again, it's still okay to call the behavior out, but the lack of charitability is very suspicious. It makes me question, like, what are you doing?
So Jake Lucky digs the trash talk in Valorant? Then why is he complaining about Speed? What makes Speed different? This is why you have 40,000 people saying that Jake Lucky's intentions were racially motivated.
Listen, I still don't agree with all of Keemstar's framing, but he did understand the assignment, and I think that he makes a reasonable argument as to like this double standards that this individual will put on himself and other people versus IShowSpeed. Why? Could be a racial element. Could be because he wants to pander to the people. He wants to be like woke. He wants to pretend to be woke, right? I don't know. You know, we don't really know.
Now, when I tweeted out some of this stuff, I said, esport reporter known as Jake Lucky is attempting to get IShowSpeed banned on YouTube for trash talk. Jake Lucky's tattletale behavior has resulted in the head of YouTube Game to respond with, on it. Fellow black creators, said, I wonder why. Very popular black streamer, King Richard, responded by saying, why not keep the same energy with the kid that was accused of cheating by the entire COD community?
Who's that? I don't know what that is.
Instead, he gets a second chance. That just rubs me the wrong way with your current actions. You held back a lie detector test and deleted VODs, but went all in on Speed?
Interesting.
Let me be clear. What Speed did was dead wrong. You cannot behave that way when you're a big streamer, period. He is 17, he is a child, and he is going to say dumb things.
What? Are you going to say dumb things until like you're 20, so... You know what I mean?
Don't you dig up your favorite
I like how people are like, well, you turned 18, so now everything you said, like, is like now all of a sudden you're an adult. It's like, bro, 18-year-olds are not adults. we probably should have a conversation about raising the age of consent because you motherfuckers are dumb. I know that because I was a dumb motherfucker too.
Streamers content from 5-10 years ago, you will find racial slurs, crazy trash talk. Another great point. Why is Jake Lucky
I want to see what else he had to say.
You will find racial slurs,
crazy trash talk, sexist speech, hate, bigotry, and much more. People grow, people make mistakes. We all do. So miss me with that self-righteous bullshit. Give him the same forgiving energy you give to the creators who make mistakes. That's fair.
Crazy trash talk. Another great point. Why is Jake Lucky digging up stuff on speed, but not everybody else? What about the white streamers? Another black content creator responded to Jake Lucky saying, "You seem pretty racist."
You mean your friend Technicals? Come on.
Dog. Another black creator, known as Diva, said Keem has done more for the black gaming streaming community than most of these performative, fake, woke creators, and I stand by that.
Maybe. I don't know if I've seen that.
Well, I
okay.
appreciate that, Diva, but I'm just calling it how I see it. Now,
Very
here,
nice.
ladies and gentlemen, is when a very popular streamer over on Twitch that mostly reacts to TV shows, XQC, he came at me. Now, it started...
Keemstar's really going in. Oh, it's funny though. I will say it's funny.
When I said Jake Lucky tries to expose Speed for trash talk in video games, but we found some really hypocritical tweets from him. Many are saying Jake Lucky's attack was racially motivated. XQC responds by saying apparently Keemstar seems to think that he's a female talking to me, get off the game and do your dishes is good trash talk or even trash talk at all. Wait, is he saying that isn't trash talk? Like that's not trash talk? Yes, it is. You've been a gamer in this space forever. You know what trash talk is, XQC. So why are you...
Okay, let's see what else he had to say. Pretty rich to try and use a racism card while overlooking blatant sexism. Stop baiting women haters. Getting old. Maybe. I mean, that might not be the worst. I'm trying to, yeah, he might be playing the race card. It's possible that Keemstar is also just listening to black voices. You know what I mean? But yeah, these things are so up in the air because because like we don't really know what's going through people's heads. I mean, nothing goes through Keemstar's head. It's just a big balloon fart. But you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, obviously it's trash talk. It's just inappropriate.
You manipulating the situation to be like, that's not even trash talk. Like, why are you pretending that somehow what Speed said is like a real statement? Like he's going on Twitter saying all women need to do dishes. Like, no, it's not the same. In the context of a video game, in the context of make-believe land with avatars talking to each other, like these people don't even know each other. It's trash talk. He goes on to say,
well, yeah, but it's still not appropriate.
They pretty rich trying to use the racism card while overlooking blatant sexism. Okay, listen, there's no debate here. What Speed said is sexism, 100%.
Yeah, so why haven't you called it out yet? We're fucking 10 minutes into this video, and you still haven't said it was wrong. Like, yeah, not a single time. What I get to remember, Keemstar said, yeah, it's bad. He said other people said that, but he hasn't said, like, yeah, it's bad, but it's still trash talk, and I think it should stop. You haven't said that a single time.
But it's also trash talk in the context of a video game. And the fact that you're trying to say it's...
So, like, by this logic, Keemstar, it is totally acceptable for me to go on to Valorant and just start spouting off the N-word. Like, this is your logic. It's just trash talk. Everything's okay. Bro, come on. This is why people are dogging on you. Because you're not taking a reasonable stance. I mean, listen, at the very least, it's your genuine perspective. But it's wrong. It's like, Jesus Christ.
It's not. Simply means that you have an issue with Speed. Like, you're not treating him fair. You're not labeling this as trash talk in a video game in the context in which it really is. You're trying to act like this is real statements. So if it's real statements...
And also, sexism is poggers.
Statements, XQC, and not trash talk, then explain this. 2018, XQC was suspended for homophobic remarks on live stream. Now, was that...
Shit. Whoa, how many years ago? 4? Damn.
Trash talk in a game? Or are you actually a homophobic person? Like,
I mean, the argument I would imagine XQC would give is like, that happened a long time ago. I did a bad thing, and then I got punished for it, but I didn't get disproportionately punished for it, so it made me like a better person. That's the argument, and that's the argument I would go with IShowSpeed. Like, let's not have a disproportionate punishment.
It doesn't make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, trash talk has been a part of gaming since the very beginning. Okay. Since the absolute very beginning of gaming. It's not going anywhere. Some people...
Well, I mean, I don't think it should, but we should ring it in and have a conversation about what are the scenarios where trash talk is and isn't appropriate.
People love it, and some people hate it. But those of you that hate trash talk in video games, you have a mute button. You can silence anyone. You don't have to participate. But I speak for so many people.
It is true. And you can do that. And you should do that. Because that's the way the world works. But we should also, at the same time, try not to engage in the toxicity. Because it incites something from you. When somebody is toxic towards you, it incites fucking rage in you. You know what I mean? It just makes you toxic. And then it's like, I don't want to mute because then I'm going to look like a pussy. So I'm going to fucking scream at this bitch. You know what I mean? It doesn't really necessarily help.
People, when I say, We don't want trash talk fully banned in video games. This is what engages us to play the game. This is what makes the game fun.
Oh, okay. Really? I mean, I've trash talked before, but I don't know if it ever made it fun. It's like a byproduct of toxicity, like a toxic sphere.
And that trash talk in the game isn't real. They're not real statements to real humans back and forth. It is a...
Keemstar, you fucking... What are you smoking, dude? What are you talking about? It's not real. These aren't real statements to real people. Yes, they are. It's 100% another person on the end of the screen. What are you talking about? Like, I understand that the characters are fake. Nobody thinks that Brutus from Valorant is Brutus a person? Brimstone. Got him. Nobody thinks that that's a real person. He's American, though, so he's pretty cool, I think. I don't know. But, like, there's somebody on the other end. Like, these are real people talking to real other people. And it's, for the most part, people who would not dare to say that in real life because they know it's wrong. And I think that fundamentally there's a conversation to be had about the way that we interact online. And like how, because this is the thing, I guarantee you that Keemstar would agree with this, that Twitter is a private company that can, like, they can do whatever they want, but Twitter is also like a public space now. Twitter is basically like a town hall. And so it's a conversation about like who should they and shouldn't they ban, because Twitter is basically like your town hall. It's your way that you express yourself. And the reason that we don't talk about that much is because it's in an online space. It's very new. And I'm assuming Keemstar would be like more in the pro-free speech area. And I'm not saying they should never ban anybody for like hate speech, but I'm just saying. And he would agree with that. But then on the other hand, I guarantee you he would. And then on the other hand, though, he'd be like, yeah, but with video games, that's not real. But like Twitter's not real either. You could just put a picture up of whoever you want. I could put my fucking dick up there. Well, probably not. But because I would say to get banned, but it's too small to see anyway. But you know what I mean? Like, the fundamentals apply. There's still people on the other end.
Fantasy world in which people play in that say stuff that isn't real. XQC, okay. I don't believe that you're a homophobe. I think that you were talking trash.
I think he's a homophobe. I've never seen him kiss a guy, so.
In a video game. That's what I believe. I don't really know what XQC motivation is to go after Speed like this. All I can say is I
think he went after you for the way that you pushed the narrative.
Like one of the most popular streamers on Twitch. And Speed pulls more views than you. So maybe that's the motivation. I don't know.
Okay. He's so catty. It's so funny. Keemstar, you're such a dumb fuck. You're a little catty bitch. He's like, he is a woman, okay? He's just a catty woman. Epic way to end that segment. Listen, man, at the end of the day.
Hey, where she is?
At the end of the day here, I will say, the energy from Jake Lucky seems disproportionate. It seems very cancel culture-esque. When Speed apologized and Jake got the response he wanted, he was like, "Oh, well, at least he apologized." It just feels performative. It's like, hey guys, this is a framing to. It's like, hey guys, I'm the arbiter of morality on the internet. We should cancel this person. This is the energy I'm getting. I'm so sorry I did this wrong thing. You are forgiven, my son. You know what I mean? It's like, it's this power trip. I don't like that. I think the behavior needs to be called out. But we should also, especially being an edgy gamer, Jake, maybe you should chill the fuck out. Also, Keemstar, like, you know, maybe have like a nuanced take once in a while. Something, you know, multiple things can exist at once. We can understand that Jake Lucky is having a disproportionate response while also acknowledging that what IShowSpeed did was like a wrong thing to do. Okay, and I now feel hopefully more comfortable with this segment than the first one that I recorded. By the way, someone asked me my favorite Power Ranger. It's obviously going to be the old school Mighty Morphin Power Ranger right here, baby. This guy asked me, oh, do you like Power Rangers? Oh, do you like Power Rangers? Is your favorite Samurai or Dinos Force? Oh, my favorite is go fuck yourself, motherfucking bitch. It's motherfucking Megazord, okay? Also, I'm not really calling you bitch. I don't want you to feel like shit for that. Bye! Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.